Well, one day I had this 2-hour-old idea that I made come to life instantly. I'm like, you know what? I'm having Valiant Thor play CKY, Beanie Siegel, Freeway, and it's all going to be in the barn. Everybody's welcome. The gate code is this, and show up in 2 days from now.
That was a hot mess.
The township always makes up a new rule to shut it down, but they could not file this in time. Okay. So there's nothing they could do about it. So when so many cars pulled up and filled up my entire property of 14 acres that they started parking on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm. No school buses could get through. We were fined for days. We paid for every single rut in every single person's lawn. It was a nightmare that he doesn't understand.
Check this out. I had a duffel bag, a big trash bag just filled with money. Because we were like selling pizza, Jack was collecting shit at the door, and Beanie Siegel said, if I show up, I want $7,500. I'm like, yeah, no problem. He's like, all right, cool. I'm bringing my homeboy Freeway. I'm like, you can bring whatever homeboy you want. You can bring your girlfriend, your boyfriend, anybody. So Freeway does a song or two with him, and then when it's time for Beanie to collect the money, he's like, well, what about him? I'm like, what about him? He's like, I said I was bringing Freeway. I said, yeah, you can bring whoever you want. He's like, well, what about his $7,500? I'm like, No. This is not the agreement. We argued back and forth to where I just had to shut up and give it to him.
Well, the next day after the party, they had an emergency township meeting and passed a law.
Of course.
No more than 100 people for a party.
And then also, but there was a wedding down the road of more than 100 people. They also said that you cannot have an event anymore and you can't sell tickets. And the next day, there is these horses with dudes with guns chasing these foxes with flutes.
Yeah.
I'm like, who is trespassing through my land? My land? They're like, oh, it's the fox hunt. So I look it up on the internet. Pocopson Fox Hunt Township. It's an event, and you sell tickets. I'm like, you just passed a rule because of me that I can't sell tickets. He's like, well, this has been happening for decades. It's grandfathered in. I'm like, oh, so you get to sell tickets and have an event, but I can't.
And then one of the neighbors made it so that
not to mention you're trespassing, killing fucking foxes in my property, which is not cool with me because it's a spirit animal and that's fucked.
Well, you guys had to film the third season of Viva La Bam like in Europe and stuff, right? Because one of the neighbors like pulled some strings and made it so that you can't film.
Well, do you know what it was?
It backfired on him because M. Night Shyamalan wanted to film scenes on his property and he was like, oh, sweet. And it's like, this is a two-way street, man.
Right.
Like, and then he was like, damn it. I shot myself in the foot.
It was a neighbor down the street who got the offer, and he said no because the township
M. Night Shyamalan was going to pay him like a location fee, like a big location fee.
And they wouldn't let it happen. They wouldn't let it happen. But you know what? It's just like, look, that whole thing at the castle was too much. And like we just tried to cover, the food and everything else.
Because
it was
the neighborhood, which Georgia Busher from across the street, she's the township supervisor. So they made me a cake and everything saying, welcome to the neighborhood, not knowing who I was. I didn't show up for the cake or the party or anything. I'd Slayer play instead. And there's a jail down the street, and they said that people were shaking the jail bars because they were so pumped for hearing Slayer live.
And you got a ton of letters like a few days later, like from all the prisoners, like, thanks for the Slayer, man.
Yeah, so then I had an upside down car in the driveway. So the next day, there's no more rules of having upside down cars in the driveway. There's no more rock concerts at nighttime.
If you only went to go get the cake.
No,
it could have been all different.
Look, the decibel level
not only did you blow off their party, but you had Slayer play and all the livestock from down the road jumped the fence.
All the horses were running wild.
Hours to round them up.
He was trying to run the spectrum at his house, and you can't do that.
Right.
So, I mean, like, enough said.
I mean, they probably passed how many laws? Because
a million, because it was crazy.
Right. But, hearing all these stories right now seems like this was a nonstop, but this was kind of like...
It was nonstop.
It was every week.
Really,
every week.
Anything that I come up with. If I had a wrestling ring by the Treetop Casino and there was a zip line and there was a lesbian vegan wrestling match. They were like, no more lesbians, no more vegans, no more zip lines, no more wrestling, no more treetop casinos either.
Who would be?
And this was a while ago, but still, when I'm driving in, like I wave to the neighbors, and they're like,
"Oh, they flick you."
Excuse me.
I'm like, I'm not the guy.
What you're forgetting is Okay, the wrestling thing was down there and everything else, and it was a really long day of filming. And what time in the cold winter did we get to film that? 1 a.m. And it sounded really loud. So there you go.
And you know, Missy Margera, when I was married to her at the time, she's such a sweetheart, but I don't know what came about her, but there's like a lot of horses in the road sometimes because I live in the middle of nowhere and it's all horse property. So she's driving by in a Range Rover. I guess she was going a little fast because she had to be somewhere quick. But the lady on the horse was like, slow down. She just skids out, puts on the e-brake. She goes, then drive your fucking horse on your fucking farm. I was like, yeah. Get it, Bessie.
Oh, my God.
April, when did you realize that
we were in trouble?
No, well,